What a finale! We have a lot to talk about here in episode 10 of Marvel's Cloak and Dagger, as well as our thoughts on the entire season and what might be next for our heroes and villains. I'm Hector Navarro.
And I'm Elisa Pearl. Executive producer and showrunner Joe Pokaski joins us for a record 10th time in a row. And tonight, we aren't pulling any punches. And did everyone watch until the very end of the episode? Because tonight we will have special guest Emma Lahana, Detective Brigid O'Reilly, here to answer all of our questions about that last scene. Hint, it's gonna be mayhem.
Whoa! And if you don't know what we're talking about, or you need to binge the entire first season of Marvel's Cloak and Dagger, head on over to Hulu or the Freeform app to get caught up, then get back here for all of the exclusive insider content you can only get
on Nerdist After.
Okay, everyone, just calm down.
Right.
Calm down.
Okay, I'm freaking out.
Here's what happened in episode 10. Tandy distracts the assassin long enough for Melissa Bowen to take her down using a dagger of her own. Yeah, we caught that. Nicely done, show. Good job, show. Tandy saves Mina from two terrors attacking her house, and then they come up with a plan to shut off the energy before it spreads further. Tyrone and O'Reilly are locked up by crooked cops when even more terrors break in and overrun the police station. Mina gets turned into a terror and charges Tandy, but Tyrone teleports to her just in time. Connors corners O'Reilly, and she gets blasted by the energy. It looks like she's dead. Or is she? Finally, Tyrone and Tandy get to the core and combine forces to shut it down and expel the energy into the sky, thus saving the day. And that's the show. Oh my gosh. Oh wait, I forgot to mention that Tandy put Scarborough into an Ivan Hess-style catatonic state. Serves him right. Yeah. That's what happened.
Yep. Joining us, as always, is the other half of our divine pairing, Nerdist editor-in-chief, Rachel Hine.
Rachel.
That's right. I feel the same way. I love that.
That's right.
That was bonkers.
That was nuts. Rachel,
I was screaming at my TV.
What are your overall thoughts on this finale and how it tied everything together?
You know, it's so funny because the show has dealt with all of these really great themes and issues between these characters and character work, and those continue into this, but this also took it to this very exciting, like comic, we were talking about earlier, this comic booky place of the terrors who are like zombies, and there's explosions, people are coming back from the dead, and all of this great stuff that is science that we haven't figured out yet, but it's still very exciting, and there were so many twists and turns and kind of character moments that, like with everything on this show so far, what you expect is going to happen, they flip it a little bit. So I thought it was a great finale.
Guys, what can we expect from season 2? I know that as soon as it ended, we were all thinking like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, what are they going to do? What are you expecting?
On the run, like, you know, they might be behind it. I don't know. I mean, they're definitely going to be exploring their powers more. Okay, I have to say something.
Okay.
Because
get it out of the way.
Okay.
Okay.
So when they join forces,
and
they figure out what they're doing, and then they land, and you see them together, and you're like, oh my God, what a great pair. Okay. So in you know, shows about teenagers that deal with supernatural elements, there has been a reading of them like hooking, like some sort of,
will they, won't they?
But that moment when they fell down felt like a metaphor for this like first big connection between two teenagers is the most PG way that I can say it.
I think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I was like, ooh, okay.
Ooh. So in this episode, we also finally got an explanation of each of the Voodoo dolls from earlier in the season. So Tandy and Tyrone seemed to subvert this pattern of one having to die. So we had the Choctaw children, where the girl goes into the river and sacrifices herself.
I was like, what's she doing? She's delivering some rocks to the other side of the... Oh, no.
No.
She's not coming back up.
That was my response. Hey, what's she doing over there? She's trying to... Okay, she's got to bring him the rocks. No.
Oof. Yeah, that was...
I know. I was a real dummy.
Oh, my God.
No, you were in the moment.
I love that they're, you know, much like the show is subverting our expectations, they're breaking the mold. And you see that in a lot of really great works of fiction where just because something has happened over and over again doesn't mean that it necessarily has to happen
I didn't want
again.
one of them to have to die.
But I got so wrapped up in the show that I really did think like, oh my gosh, like
me too.
Cloak's really going to sacrifice himself. Like Tyrone's really going to do this.
I thought that maybe since in the comics he is kind of less human, like he loses his humanity.
Ethereal, very close to life.
Maybe that's what would happen.
Yeah.
But they gotcha.
They got us. They gotcha.
They got me.
They knew you were expecting that.
Yeah.
We also get to see Connors getting sucked into Tyrone's cloak, which is a nod to the original Cloak and Dagger comics. Were you guys surprised to see that? I was stoked.
Very
cool.
surprised and delighted. And my response to this was, I don't know what sounds I made, but I made weird sound. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. It was great as a comic book fan, but also just for the show itself, it was cool because it was a character enacting justice, but Tyrone wasn't murdering somebody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you know the comic books, I feel like you can infer that, you know what, Connors might still be alive in this other dimension, in this other place.
Could.
So like that character could still come back, but he still sort of met justice. He might be different. It was just a really very perfect way to sort of wrap this up with the themes of the show and how they've been talking about, vigilantism and what's right and what's wrong. And even if they arrested Connors and tried to do everything the right way, and it still didn't work out. So I thought that was great.
Very much like life. You can, and Tyrone also has had that conversation where I can do everything right and something horrible could still happen. So I need to stand up for this. And I'm glad that he did it in a way. I was worried. I was like, don't cross that line.
I know.
Yeah, and at the same time, I also was like,
do it.
We cannot, oh my goodness, Connors needs some type of retribution.
Die.
We need to see something. If he goes free.
But don't do it, Tyrone, but kill him.
Yeah, I know, exactly. You're like, oh, I don't.
Sort of.
Teleport
I thought he might fall off that roof or something.
To ledge and
Exactly.
That was you that did it. You fell. That wasn't me. Something,
So before we welcome the showrunner of the series, Joe Pokaski, everyone can always use a little self-esteem boost. And while Tandy is usually quick to stab people in the heart, she gives a different shot to the heart in the form of a pep talk to her partner. Let's check it out.
You are Tyrone Freakin Johnson. Baller lady killer, master of space, if not time, and you don't need a cloak for all of that.
Look, what if I do?
Well, you can use this.
Is that?
It is.
How did you?
I stole it. From little Leo. It was the first thing I ever stole.
Why didn't you say anything about this before?
Because I needed it. I really needed it.
And now?
And now you need it. Even though you don't need it. But I need you.
Please give it up for Marvel's Cloak and Dagger showrunner and executive producer, Joe Pokaski.
I got really excited. I cut off your title. I was like, yeah.
Joe, welcome to the 10 Timers Club. You're the only person, along with Rachel. You guys are both in the 10 Timers Club.
Boom.
Been on the show 10 times.
Is that the sweatshirt I left there the first time we shot?
Yes, it is.
Oh my God, now we get it back.
You left.
Wow.
Yeah, all right, I'll give it back to you after this.
We're both doing a little light cosplay again today.
I am obviously Tyrone.
Cloak.
You're O'Reilly.
I'm O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Brigiding.
Yeah, green for Mayhem, and then kind of a police badge / a lion.
That works.
So guys, let's get into it. Joe, the music choice in this episode worked incredibly well with everything happening on screen. Whose decision was it to use orchestral covers of Come Sail Away by Styx during the different eras, and how many other prog rock anthems were auditioned?
We fantastic use of prog rock. We listened to probably somewhere between 20 and 50 sweet songs. We wanted something that felt kind of epic, had a few movements to it. We ended up falling in love with Come Sail Away, just the way it kind of worked at the end. Then Freeform and Marvel were great about trying to find rights and trying to work everything out. And what we ended up doing was we talked to this band called Joy Wave, and some of the members of that helped us work out a different sound for it. And we did the thing when you have an amazingly talented pop star on your cast. I got on my knees and I begged Olivia Holt to sing a version of the song, and we produced it, and it was fantastic. And it was amazing because I knew her as a talented actress who can do anything. Yeah. And it was fun to see her as a talented musician who can really do anything.
That is so cool.
So it was just fun, and it really worked. We were able to build it up so it really kind of hit the finale, and the guys at Joywave were just great as far as us telling the story and how we're going to do it. And then Mark Isham, who does our composition, took that and worked with different people for the clarinet section that we played during the hospital, and kind of the old humming that we used. at the beginning with the Choctaw Indians, and it was just kind of fun to build it up. Thank you for noticing, because it was a lot of work. And well worth it. But
so cool to notice it. Like, wait a minute, is that? Yeah, that's Come Sail Away. Okay, great.
And it's so, I love that the ending, even though it's so intense, that it feels really joyful.
Yeah.
The way that it lands on them is joyful, and the music, and you're just like, they're doing it. Like, it was really exciting.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what happened to Connor's and Tyrone's cloak? That's a huge question we all have. Was Tyrone controlling that, or do his powers now, again, have a mind of their own?
It was a little more of the second thing. I think it's Tyrone emotionally still couldn't kill him, even though he knew he'd come back and cause trouble. So, we like to believe that the spirit of Billy in some level is in that cloak, and it's kind of the next iteration, and you'll be excited now that we get a season 2, we can explore people going inside the cloak.
Yes.
That's something we get to kind of unravel over the course of season 2.
I can't wait to see what the visuals of that
Absolutely.
are.
Yeah, I'm thinking of some very striking sort of comic book visuals that I feel like you guys could play with, and it could be so cool.
Yeah, we're going to do the slightly wackier version of what's in your head.
Awesome.
Oh,
Cool.
snap.
Joe, we noticed in this episode you switched the runaway narrative that we had earlier in the season, where now Tyrone is on the run, and it looked like Tandy is sort of settling in and kind of healing with her mom. How does this affect their stories moving forward?
Well, I think Tyrone, it's funny. It's like you don't know what you got till it's gone. He was in this gilded cage with this perfect family, living out this pain, and we thought it would be great to, as we go into season 2, take all of that away. So now he has to deal, with life as a runaway, and Tandy, conversely, kind of liked being alone, but now has to stand up for her mom, who kind of got her back, and has to kind of force herself to live with some of the things she was avoiding.
Okay, so the twist at the end, we loved it. Showing O'Reilly's transformation and how she changes. Everyone else seems to go back to normal after being exposed to the terrors, but she doesn't. So, what we're wondering is, and I feel like we're on the right track, maybe, does water have to do with transformation? So the water plus that mysterious energy, boom, makes something new. Tandy and Tyrone.
And now Brigid O'Reilly.
Brigid O'Reilly.
Yes, I think they're going to be all on the same spectrum of powers, and plus almost dying helps.
Right.
I think that kind of works with any superpower.
Okay.
The idea of almost touching death is going to influence our Brigid Mayhem connection.
Wow. So exciting. So this is confirmation that she is turning into the vigilante Mayhem from the comics?
You were at Comic-Con.
Yeah, how was that panel?
It was amazing. It was very wonderful and exciting.
I can't say much, but we were very excited at the prospect of taking season 1 and meeting a friend and not realizing you were watching the origin of a friend of me.
Right.
You just broke Rachel's heart. I just saw the moment, the pinpoint moment where heart. Yeah.
But I think, like everything on our show, particularly when you have a talented actress like Emma Lahana, we're not going to necessarily throw her out as a straight-up supervillain. She's going to be a little complicated and a little motivated.
Okay.
Wow.
I like that.
Do the emotional states also at the time of the energy exposure have anything to do with what type of vigilante or what type of powers they get?
Yeah.
To some degree, yes. And I think particularly, Brigid is a human being who has been wronged in so many ways. So if I had the kind of day that or the couple days that she had, I would come out of that water a little bit the cranky. And I think we're going to be able to explore that.
Joe, believe it or not, we noticed a few things in this action-packed finale episode, and we need your insight. So for the last time this season, please indulge us as we annoy you with our observations.
First of all, there were mentions of keeping up with the Starks and the Rands, two other very powerful corporations.
I love
Can you
that.
believe they let us say that?
That's awesome.
It was amazing, and I think God bless Jeff Loeb and all the great people at Marvel Television we get to work with who helped us kind of make that through the process. It was nice to see we live in a world. Again, if you're running a business and you have stockholders and they're like, "Well, Tony Stark does this.
I know.
And Rand does this."
Yeah.
You probably start chasing that sort of thing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, another thing that we noticed is that we heard Connor say, "It's mayhem" to O'Reilly's face.
And the camera stayed on O'Reilly.
Right,
So
yes.
great. So great. This is going to be great. It's happening.
Last week, we literally had Delgado say, "You're witnessing the origin of a villain," as we were on Emma's face.
Fair point. Fair point. Okay.
We've been subtle about many things, including
Yes.
our murder weapons. This one, in the last couple episodes, we've been flying a little fast.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Okay.
There's also a scene just before the climax where Auntie Chantal seems to be praying in French over the divine pairing dolls. We took to the internet to try and figure out what she was saying because none of us in the office unfortunately speak French, but our translating apps only got so far as, quote, "Mary is for you, man shooting and stabbing, shooting and stabbing." That can't be right. What is she really saying?
I wish she was saying that. Because that's some of the best writing on the show so far. She's actually saying a version of the prayer of St. Francis, which is my mom's favorite prayer.
Wow.
And is what Tyrone sings in episode 2. So we're kind of bringing it all full circle.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
We also loved the shot of Tandy and Tyrone holding hands on top of the Superdome, which matched up really nicely with the scene we saw in episode 1 of them as children together on the shore.
Yeah.
It felt very much like a strong callback to that.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Aw.
so sweet.
It feels like we've been making the show that long.
Yeah.
8 years.
Exactly. And finally, we noticed that the clothes that Tandy and Tyrone are both wearing at the end scene in the church seem to be sleek 2018 versions of their characters' costumes.
Right.
Was that an intentional choice?
Absolutely.
Does this signify that they're kind of now fully formed superheroes? Is this going to be a version of their superhero costume moving forward if they're going to go out and do stuff?
God, if they're ever fully formed superheroes, I probably have to quit because what fun is that?
Yeah, what show is that? Yeah.
But I think she's embracing her hope a little bit more, and he's embracing his. He's so happy to have his hoodie back. Doesn't it suck when you lose clothes?
It does.
And then you get it back and you find it later on. So I think he's just. I think we're making our way. It's going to be a little bit of a journey for these guys that hopefully we get to tell for a while, but. We're pushing it along still.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing I noticed too, rewatching the clip just now, is it so? You know, the cloak before helped him to really use his powers efficiently, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that was his brother's cloak. So now, is it? I at first thought it was just him having something to help him hide, kind of. But is it specifically something from his brother?
I like that. I like to think that. I don't think it's true, but I think somewhere in Tyrone's mind, it's a connection to his brother. He doesn't have a big brother to tell him what to do.
Right.
So I think the cloak is like his subconscious manifestation of what his brother would say, is what would Billy do.
Yeah. Cool.
And if it works like a placebo, if it works for him, then it's totally fine.
Right.
Rose magic feather, that's right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, Joe, did we miss anything from this episode?
There was so much in there. I think you caught all of it.
Okay.
Good job.
What about
Work.
overall? What about, now that the season is over, anything else that we missed that warrants us rewatching the entire season a few times, paying attention to murder weapons and whatnot?
I think we'll be touching on that murder weapon a little more as we move forward. We now have a young boy who, even though he saved the world, is still wanted for the murder of a police officer.
Yeah.
And
And another police officer has now disappeared.
Oh, dang.
probably the only guy who could clear him. Think about it.
Yeah.
And now we've got, a couple of parents with no babies and a daughter living with her mother. I think we've set the table for some interesting tales to tell in season 2.
Now, Emma Lahana is about to join us again, but before she does, let's take another look at Detective O'Reilly's reemergence at the end of the finale.
Please welcome back Emma Lahana.
Thanks for having me again.
Thanks so much for coming back.
We're glad to have you. How good does it feel having the knowledge that there's a second season coming up and getting to work with this amazing twist, and you can finally talk about it?
Well, I can't really, to be honest.
We tried. All right.
Good try, though. Yeah, I mean, it's so exciting. We're so excited to be able to go back and just keep telling the story. We're so lucky as a cast. We have such a great showrunner, and our whole crew is so supportive. And the cast, we all get on so well, and we're telling really important stories. So it's a dream job. We're so lucky. So we couldn't be more excited to all be coming back.
What was it like to be watching that last episode knowing what was going to happen at that twist ending, knowing that that was coming?
I mean, I was just so excited to see it because it was my first time seeing it. I hadn't seen it until I saw.
I didn't show it to you earlier?
He wouldn't show me. I begged him, and he would not show me. So, yeah, it's so funny. Fun fact: Kendrick Lamar was playing opposite. What was it? Voodoo
Festival.
Yeah,
Voodoo Fest.
Across the water?
Literally, that's actually where Mayhem would be walking.
Yeah, he was going to Voodoo Fest. I was crawling out the lake to King Kunta.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun fact.
So funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good little tidbit.
Yeah.
Had any of the fans of Cloak and Dagger, any of those deep cut comic book fans, have they caught on to the twist beforehand? Had you heard any of those rumblings?
I mean, people had been asking me,
Yeah.
via Twitter, especially when we live tweet on Thursdays. They're always like, "Are you going to become Mayhem?" And I just ignored those ones. I tell you.
Speaking of fans, how was Comic-Con?
It was amazing.
Is that your first Comic-Con?
I did one a long time ago,
Yeah.
but it's so different. It's grown so much,
Yeah.
and going with Marvel is the rock star of Comic-Con, so it was pretty exciting. But yeah, it was great. Everybody was so kind to us and so welcoming, and we were pretty busy, and it was amazing. And the panel was. We were so nervous before we walked out. Joe actually, he put a photo on his Instagram, and we were all standing there comparing how fast our hearts were beating.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but it was so exciting. Everyone was just so nice, and it was so nice to meet people face to face because we do get that interaction with social media, which is so nice. You do get that communication with the people that are watching the show, and that's also so rad because comic book fans pick up on so much that you don't know that they're necessarily going to pick up on. So then to get to meet everybody face to face was just it was wonderful.
It's so awesome. So did you know O'Reilly would undergo this kind of transformation early on in the production? I know you showed up and didn't really know much about the character.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, when I auditioned, I didn't even know what show I was auditioning for. It said Untitled Marvel Project.
Thanks,
and
Marvel.
and they write sides just
Very
for your
secretive.
audition.
That's right.
And they give you a fake name. So I was auditioning for Bailey.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
Bailey Callahan.
Bailey
That's
Callahan.
like the secret code you'd have to crack.
Which I didn't have time to crack because by the time I booked it, I found out I booked it was a Saturday night and I had to leave Monday morning. And so I was packing, getting my dog ready to go and shipping my car and doing all sorts. But my best friend, she actually told me.
So already from before you shot your first scene, you had already known
So you
that
knew.
that was a possibility? Did the production tell you, like, this is what we have planned?
I mean, Joe doesn't tell me anything. It's so annoying.
They tell you things, they just have no value.
They have
What I
no
said.
value whatsoever. Yeah, he just kind of jokes around and doesn't give me any important information. But yeah, they kind of hinted at stuff with certain scenes. You could go back and you might see some hints of some stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we assume that O'Reilly's new form will be seeking vengeance against Connors, or maybe Tandy and Tyrone? And aside from seeking vengeance for yourself, there's vengeance for Fuchs. We didn't even have a chance to talk to you after the episode where we find him in a refrigerator. When you read that in the script, was your reaction the same as it was on camera? Because you seemed pretty shocked on camera.
Well, when that was me seeing it for the first time. They didn't show me
my goodness.
until I opened the fridge.
What was it like to read it in the script, knowing that that was going to happen?
Joe did tell me that beforehand because he explained to me. I didn't know about the whole woman in refrigerator thing.
Yes.
So he explained that to me in the
Wow.
sexist trope and wanting to flip it on its head. And yes, absolutely, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So I knew it was coming and how we were going to do it. But yeah, when I opened the fridge, it was. I mean, I'm a vegan. I don't even have bacon.
Oh my goodness.
You know, that's super gross.
I would say any regular person's worst nightmare, but especially a vegan, is to find a dead body in the
And
fridge.
there was bacon next to him, so it was just like my biggest
Oh, so
nightmare.
that's what you were freaking out
Yeah.
about, really.
I was like,
You're like, oh,
pig. Yeah.
no, my boyfriend died.
Yeah.
Bacon! Who put this in here?
Oh my goodness.
We didn't even do that on purpose, but that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Who do you
meat
think-
everywhere.
Who do you think O'Reilly is going to be seeking vengeance for, and against whom in this upcoming second season?
Well, I think Brigid's had a bit of a rough go of it, really. So one thing that I really love about Brigid is she does go up against things that are wrong, and even though it's not the easy thing to do, she will seek justice. So I don't think, I mean, I'm guessing, you can correct me, I'm probably wrong, but that's one thing that's driven her is, you know, she was going to bat for Tandy against the sexual assault, and even though she didn't get justice, and it was not the easy thing to do, she still kept trying. Same thing with Ty, when he came to her, he didn't question him. She wasn't saying, I doubt that that's true, she instantly believed him because she's seen that, she's come from Harlem, she's seen police brutality and systemic racism her whole career. So I think that there's probably a whole lot going on inside of her that she would want to seek vengeance for.
Okay, so pretend Joe is not sitting right next to you. Have you been given any details about where O'Reilly's story might go in season 2? You can tell us.
You really think I'm going to tell you? Like, I can't pretend Joe's not here. He's right here.
Pretend he's not here.
I mean, we've talked about. We have talked about, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but we have talked about an issue that does exist. It's a real issue that does affect a lot of girls and women.
Okay.
And I hope that that happens and that we do get to explore that, because that would be pretty amazing.
That was a really good answer.
I said so much without saying anything.
Yeah.
That doesn't quite answer if the character is going to be villain or vigilante, but that's intriguing. That's intriguing.
It's going to be Cloak and Dagger complicated. That's what it's going to be.
I like
Yes.
And I guess villain, vigilante, it depends on who.
Your perspective.
it's
Everyone
perspective.
thinks they're
Yeah.
right.
Nicely done.
Absolutely.
Nice. You have been hanging out with Joe Pokaski. That's great.
For too long.
So just a little history lesson in case people aren't aware. Mayhem, the character of Mayhem, debuted in 1985 in issue number 5 of a Cloak and Dagger series. And she has some interesting powers. She has an aura of poisonous gas. She can fly. She is seemingly impervious to Dagger's light knives. Oh, and she has really sharp nails. Emma, will you have any or all of these abilities in season 2? Will you have any powers beyond these?
I would say if you could go back and look at season 1, and maybe there'll be little hints of things.
My goodness.
Look at Rachel. Look at that.
Wow.
I'm watching it all
Maybe
tonight.
go back to the very first shot of Bridget.
Ooh.
Oh. I don't know.
I love watching the wheels turn. No,
Well,
it's very
the first
funny.
episode you were in, you had no dialogue.
Silent
So now,
until
like,
you have the right to
You
remain
can
silent.
say much without saying anything.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
You say it best when you say nothing at all.
So with
Good
the
Alison Krauss going on there.
with the swamp and the way, because her eyes look,
Jaundice.
is there anything
Drinking a lot in
with-
episode 9.
true.
Yeah.
Jaundice.
Smart.
with like, you know,
She was
gator?
Yeah.
Is there anything?
Ooh, so Rachel brings up a good point.
Reptilian.
Reptilian, nature, green we usually associate with you know, foliage.
Her
leaf
eyes
foliage.
were
Climbs out like an
reflecting in a
alligator.
way.
There was alligator wranglers and snake wranglers in the.
We used
When
a
you had
lot
to
of
go in
alligator
there.
and snake wranglers.
Oh, that's scary.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so you guys really filmed on location? That wasn't a set. That was actually
No, no, that was in
Here's
the
something
water.
you missed. I remember something you missed. That was the exact spot where the young Choctaw girl walked in.
Oh my gosh,
Walked out.
Joe, that's so
I
good.
forgot that.
That's really good.
That's so good.
Which is very. It was also very easy because we could just, you know, wait for the lights to turn off.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that
That's
was
awesome.
so.
We planned it. It was so good.
Yes.
Millions
Wait,
of
so you
dollars.
had to get in that swamp and they had gator and snake wranglers in case they
They have to
showed.
just in case they show up. But I mean, alligators are gonna be more scared of you than.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same with sharks. Like people are terrified of sharks, but you are more likely to die on a golf course being stung by bees or like being struck by lightning.
I'm not gonna go golfing.
So
I
you can
guess.
just go
Okay.
swim. I've swum with sharks before.
What?
Yeah.
Is that just a regular thing people in New Zealand do?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Super cool like that.
You're from New Zealand?
And real quick, when can we expect Marvel's Cloak and Dagger to return?
2019.
2019, y'all. 2019.
Yes. One final thank you to Nerdist editor-in-chief Rachel Hine.
Oh, so much fun.
10 Timers Club.
Yes.
10 Timers Club.
Executive producer and showrunner Joe Pokaski.
Also in the 10 Timers Club. Thank you, Joe.
And the great Emma Lahana.
2 Timers Club.
That doesn't sound like a good club. I don't know.
It is. It's good. It's good.
And thank you to all of the guests that have joined us here from this season of Marvel's Cloak and Dagger. I'm Eliza Pearl.
I'm Hector Navarro. Thanks to all of you for tuning in and joining the conversation with us.
You can find all of our previous episodes on Nerdist.com and on Nerdist's YouTube and Facebook pages, as well as Freeforms and Marvel's digital platforms. Until next time, bye.
Bye.